if you have to, you could go to audio only. Welcome, everybody. JD Krause here. We're on the Women's Rodeo World Championships live stream coming back at you. I've got some amazing guests today. It looks like we just lost one of them, but I know that she'll be back again. Today, we have Erica Lozares. Say hey,
hi.
Erica. Erica's coming to us from Weatherford, Texas. We have Lari Dee Guy. Hey, Lari Dee. Did you say it was 105? Hey. Are you in Abilene today?
Well, it's probably not that hot. It just felt that hot. But yes, I'm in Abilene.
Great. And Scott Davis coming from Stephenville, Texas. Hey, Scott.
Howdy, howdy.
All right. We have Michelle Darling. She's having a little bit of technical difficulties, but as soon as she pops back on the screen, I will bring her in. And today, we're talking about something really exciting. We're talking about the WCRA Challenger pool, the Challenger path, the Challenger as an item of discussion. And everybody that we have on the live stream today has extensive knowledge in the rodeo business. There's Michelle. Hey, Michelle, can you hear us? It looks like her video. Hey, Michelle.
I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry.
It's okay. If anybody in your house is streaming a movie, it might, I don't know. Sometimes it's a band. I
just told them to get off of Fortnite.
That will help. That will absolutely help. I have 2 teenagers and a 9-year-old, and I don't know which one in my house gobbles up more bandwidth. But Michelle, welcome to the live stream. Michelle has been running barrels in the WCRA with us for a long time, and you have experienced some great success. You won the championship at Green Bay, which was an awesome event there, and so welcome.
Amazing.
Welcome. Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks everybody for being here. So if this is new to you and you don't know why we're all here, we're talking about the Women's Rodeo World Championships, and it's an event that the WCRA is putting on in conjunction with the PBR, the Professional Bull Riders, and it's the inaugural year. It's a $750,000 guaranteed payout event, and we're paying out equal money in all 4 disciplines: heeling, heading, breakaway roping, and barrel racing. And we're super proud of that fact. There has been a lot of give and take to maintain that reputation that we have for paying out equal money. And we're super excited to be in this business together with the PBR. They're a great partner. Just some highlights of our event in November. It's the 3rd through the 7th of November in conjunction with the PBR World Finals. And as I mentioned, $750,000 guaranteed payout, $60,000 first place per discipline, and it's not top loaded, a $20,000 all-around bonus. And really today what we're going to be talking about is, and I'm going to pull up this Challenger graphic here, but we're going to be talking about the Challenger path specifically. And why don't I hand it over to Scott Davis? And Scott, why don't you bring us up to speed on this concept of Challenger and why it's important now, why it's important to us and the WRWC.
Thanks, JD. It's something that's very new, and I've really gotten to enjoy seeing all you guys and all your guests on these Facebook Lives. I know Lari Dee has chipped in a time or two to help us. Erica, I think when we did the first one, you actually chimed in with a question because you had actually just snagged the first win you're in, right? Yeah. So, just the way that this is coming together, I appreciate this platform and the chance to explain this Challenger. It's like everything we do, JD. We take a bite and it's a mouthful, and it takes a long time to chew it up, and it's sometimes challenging to explain to all our friends how good it is. But that's what we're going to try to do today with the Challenger pool. And that aspect of the competition. So just to start it off, you gave a great high-level overview of the event. We're really excited about our partnership with the PBR and bringing this to women's rodeo. There are basically three main paths. There are two main paths with a couple of tangents, right? The first main path is the WCRA leaderboard, right? The top 64, and there's a wealth of benefits that come with that. The top 4 go straight in. It's a smaller field of competition in the WCRA funnel. The other main funnel is the open to the world funnel, okay? So great graphic right here. I appreciate you bringing that up. But there are two sort of tangents off of each main funnel. The WCRA funnel includes the nominate and win your in path, which is a fast track to the main event, right? We're going to take 16 athletes in each discipline, 1 run in the barrels, 2 run in the roping discipline, and the top 4 just boom, right into the main event. So that's tangent 1 of the WCRA path. Let's go back over to this open to the world path. There's a tangent off of it. This main open to the world path, anyone can enter. Pay a sizable entry fee, but anyone can enter this. If you don't have points, if you don't understand the WCRA, if you're not participating in the virtual rodeo qualifier, you can pay an entry fee. You can show up at the event. There, again, is significant competitive benefits to being in the WCRA path. But open to the world path has its tangent, and that tangent is the challenger pools of competition, right? So we believe at the WCRA that, you know, based on our research, something a lot of people don't realize, JD, is we spent the last couple of years processing a tremendous amount of data in the rodeo and single discipline events, right? We have over 300 alliance partners, but in 2 years, or closing in on 2.5 since we launched, we've processed over 30,000 events, competitive events, which compiles to consist of way north of 5 million different competitive efforts, right? So for quite some time, we've been trying to gain through our platform a better understanding of how the rodeo industry and the single discipline events and things like that work. We believe that there is a certain level of pro rodeo athlete that I say, personal opinion, but I say it's going to be about 20% of the field at any given event is going to be a full-time professional athlete. And we found that close to 80% of the time, those athletes actually win most of the money, 80% of the money. It's a pretty simple principle. You can compare that to other businesses as well. But we believe that through the examples already set by the team roping industry and the examples already set by 4D, 5D divisional barrel racing systems, we believe that we can institute some of their successes into the rodeo business as a whole, all disciplines of rodeo. As everybody on the Facebook Live with us today knows, the team roping and barrel racing communities experienced tremendous growth when they started implementing some of those processes. So we're looking to sort of replicate that, but in all disciplines. And we're gonna take this opportunity with the Women's World Championship in Las Vegas, simply because there are fewer disciplines, right? And we can focus on, you know, with team roping, heading, and heeling, there's a global handicap system in place already. With barrel racing, there's Equistats, who has long been doing tracking data and maintaining earnings and that type of information on barrel racers. We've established partnerships with both of those groups. So the remaining discipline, breakaway roping, is in a tremendous growth curve right now. And we feel like to create some sustainability in that growth curve, we need to implement some of the successes that have come with team roping and barrel racing. Tiering is a word that gives everybody panic in the rodeo business, right? But it's the best descriptor for this. We believe that we have come up with some processes that will help us tier the sport of rodeo in all disciplines. We're going to debut that with the Women's World Championship at the South Point, Las Vegas, November 3rd through 7th. Is everybody hearing me okay? Is my audio okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Anybody, on the call with us here today or in Facebook land, if they have questions, please post them. But is that a pretty good setup before we get kind of in the details, JD?
Uh-oh, can't hear him.
I think, JD, you might be
unmute.
There you are.
I might unmute my mic. I think it's great, Scott. Erica, Lari Dee, do y'all have any other thoughts or comments?
No, I think everything's good.
I think he's hit it good.
Good, great. Do you want to go right into the tiering document, Scott?
Sure. So what we believe that, like I talked about the growth in the team roping with the classifications and competitive levels and things like that, we think we can mirror that across rodeo and the same thing. And more participation inherently causes growth, right? What we would like to do is to try to be a little more effective than those previous examples I used in ensuring that the open level or professional level athlete never suffers because of our efforts, and the tonnage or amount of players at what we call the challenger level, right? So through these processes, it's our goal to create growth. And we believe that we're going to see that at the Women's World Championship when these athletes start to understand who may compete in multiple disciplines but specialize in one, and they understand that they might be in a situation where they could compete at the challenger level. They might ante up another entry fee in an alternate discipline and participate there. More opportunity, more participation equals better, right? So, as I mentioned a minute ago, I'm going to start today with the breakaway roping and the way in which we plan to institute the challenger competition into breakaway roping, because it's sort of all our own, if you will. Rodeo Logistics, who is our software development company, has been crunching data for quite some time. It's important that everyone understands because what we're going to talk about, JD, in the very early going here, we're going to use a career earnings or an annual earnings approach to establishing who is a challenger and who is in the open. Okay, so we took a pretty broad swipe at information. We have it's somewhere between 35 and 40 different organizing bodies all over the United States, Canada, Australia, respectively, to classify these athletes by earnings. We also took, in the breakaway roping specifically, we took the 8 or 10 largest standalone breakaway events. Now, we aren't going as deep in the breakaway roping as we've gone in barrel racing with Equistats. Number one, we wanted to ensure the integrity of the data. But number two, as you know, Lari Dee well knows, I mean, breakaway's been through a huge curve, or in a huge growth curve right now the last 2 years, with the amount of adoption, the additional added money. So we felt like if we got into 2017, it would disturb the data. So as you can see here on the screen, the approach that we've taken in the breakaway roping, if in 2019, in the calendar year of 2019, we've recorded that you've earned more than $7,000, then you will compete in the open pools of the open to the world remember, this is just the open to the world funnel. WCRA funnel, generally speaking, is considered an open level competition. No challenger mix into the WCRA pool. On the open to the world side, you'll have open pools and you'll have challenger pools. So breakaway ropers, newsflash. If you didn't win $7,000 last year in a breakaway roping that we have the data on, then you will be considered a challenger. If you are considered a challenger, you will be able to rope in the challenger pools of competition. So what that's going to do is that's going to allow what I would say like competitive people to compete amongst one another. It's very important. Once you come out of that challenger pool a winner, you've got to go to the progressive round and beat the Lions, right? But step one is pay your entry fee, compete at this challenger level if you're classified as such, and you've got as good a shot at anybody as earning your fees back. You know what I mean? Putting some money in your pocket, right?
Hey, Scott, what do you think about us, just really quick, showing that graphic that so people
absolutely
can get a visual.
Pools.
Yeah.
Sure. So you'll see, good idea, JD. You'll see, now this is a mock-up based on how we believe the team roping and breakaway might set up based on participation. This is based on entries. The size of the pools and so forth will be decided once entries close. But as you can see in this graphic, you have the open divisions and the challenger divisions. Pool A is labeled pro, we'll call that open division. But what we believe is there will be more people, once they understand this, enter this event in the open to the world category, therefore giving us two pools of challenger divisions, spreading the opportunity. The event's multiple entry, right? If I'm a challenger, I might enter twice. It's going to put me in two different pools, those types of things, right? So we believe that with the growth the challenger opportunity creates, we might see more athletes in those challenger pools and the size of the event in general grow. Again, this is the open to the world funnel. And if we have the projected participation we think, we may end up with two challenger pools and one open pool.
Great. And let me just go back up here because, again, it's a lot to take in, and we recognize that. We've been talking about this for a while. But the WCRA leaderboard on this graphic right here and the fast track, we're considering that all the WCRA path. And then the open to the world on the right side of your screen, that's the open to the world path, which looks kind of like this. This is an example of what that open to the world path would look like when you break it out into pools.
With 300 entries, right? Considering that 100 may be at that open level and 200 of them being classified as challengers, this is exactly what the open to the world pools will look like.
Right. Any questions? I mean, surely this is going to spur a little bit of.
I have one question. What how many times can a person enter the challenger? Have you set a limit, or is it going to be open?
You can enter the open to the world funnel twice, right? Okay. So now what the bonus is, if you will, if you've already qualified in the WCRA pool, it's like you in that situation you would have a third run at it, basically.
Yeah.
So and you know, the multiple entries is pretty common in the roping events and stuff like that, right? Or the time events in general, except barrel racing. And so the multiple entry format, we think, you know, I'm going to Vegas, I'm going to run it all this money, I'm going to lay down 2 bets instead of just one. And then the WCRA path sort of rewards you per se with a third opportunity. And then if you're in the fast track round and you're in those top 4, you can just forget about the rest of that. And rock on to the big event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just cut in here a little bit. If you just joined us, we're talking all things women's rodeo world championships. It's being held. The event is at the South Point Hotel, November 3rd through the 7th, in conjunction with our partner for this event, the PBR, during their PBR World Finals. And the big items on the for the event are it's a $750,000 guaranteed payout. And 4 disciplines, equal money across all 4 disciplines, $60,000 first place per discipline, and there's a lot of money spread out. And for those of you who run barrels and rope, or rope, breakaway, and head and heel, $20,000 all-around bonus. And we're getting ready to announce, hopefully in the next week or two, that we have a super sweet all-around prize to go along with that money that'll fit nicely in your jeans. So anyway, Scott, do you want me to go back to the doc?
Yeah, so let's run back to the document real quick. I want to sort of wrap up Breakaway and maybe get a little feedback from Lari Dee. She's been a tremendous help in us sort of putting this together and is sort of, not to put words in her mouth, but somewhat supportive of our efforts with this challenger opportunity and had some input on what that looked like. But so as we said, if you've won over $7,000 last year, you would fall into the Open. In the Open to the World, this doesn't have anything to do with the WCRA path. Combined earnings for 2018 and 2019 would be $12,000. And just so everyone knows, if you look at the close to 2,000 breakaway ropers that we had data on, those lines end up in about the same place. Okay, so as far as where we set these lines based on 1 year competition or 2 years of competition. And so it'll be interesting to see. I was talking to Michelle earlier today, and I think that you're going to see some girls, and Lari Dee, you may very well be able to comment on this, because you've had some insight to maybe some of those who might fit into that challenger category. But there's going to be some of those ladies and young women come out of that challenger pool with the Lions in the progressive round and throw a fast loop and make it into the main event, right? I mean, Lari Dee, what's your thought process on that?
Well, being able to compete as a challenger against, for say, like you said, your level of competitors, that gives you an opportunity to win the spot with, say, the Lions. And once you get there, I mean, when you're running at 1 or 2 calves, I mean, it's anybody's game. I don't care, from the very best to who you are. On any given day, any roper can win. And it eliminates you having to fight your way all the way through with all the Lions to get there. And I just think it's a huge opportunity for Breakaway and to, expand Breakaway, because Breakaway, if you say you got, 50 girls that are the best in the world, well, we've got 500 girls that are real close behind,
Right.
And it gives them an opportunity to, work their way up, just like the team ropers have with the number system and just like the barrel racers have with the Ds. I mean, it's a huge thing for breakaway roping. And I think the way that y'all are starting it out with the, with the earnings, I think it's a great place to start, and it can only grow from there.
Well, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Lari Dee, because I forgot to mention that. We're approaching this as if we have to start somewhere, right? Like, listen, we're not right about everything. I hope that we don't think that you don't feel like we're presenting it that way today. We know we need to learn more and have more data on how we classify athletes, but we also feel compelled to take that job on. And, and we have to start the debate. And the only way to start the debate is to take action, right? Like we're drawing this line in the earnings sand, and we're going to let you gals, ladies, run at this money, and we're going to know, somebody undoubtedly is going to fall into that challenger category and potentially, make hay while the sun's shining, if you will, and we'll start to understand more about where we're drawing the lines and how we can adjust those things and make it better in the future. Erica, in our conversation yesterday, we sort of all came to the realization, you'd mentioned, he's specializing in team roping, but, you might have a rope can, and we sort of realized all together on the call that, hey, you could potentially fall into that challenger category. And then you mentioned today that you might have knocked the dust off that can a little this morning.
Might have opened it up, see what was in there.
Well, and you maybe comment on that, on what's been going through your head since we talked yesterday. And I'm not trying to, you may not enter the breakaway roping, but surely, obviously, based on this conversation, the thoughts crossed your mind. How do you feel like this will affect participation in the Las Vegas event? Go ahead.
Oh, no. I think I'm going to be there for team roping, heading, and heeling to start with. And I know how to rope calves. My husband is a calf roper. He's kind of forcing me to do it. But on the same time, he's like, if you're going to be there and if you can enter, enter. He's like, it's doesn't make sense not to enter. And it's only going to help your roping. Like LD said, it's going to get the chance. Everybody has their day. And if it's your day, you're going to win. So, and it could be my day in Vegas. So I'm dang sure I'm going to enter it no matter what. I'm going to enter anything as much as I can, except for barrel racing. So, because I just can't do that.
There you go. Well, never know. Michelle might give you some pointers after the call, right? Takes more than pointers. Takes pretty good animal underneath you. But so in sort of wrapping up Breakaway, JD, and if you want to polish it off with a comment or a question, $7,000 earnings last year. So if you have 600 or 6,987.50 won last year, you're a challenger. If you have $7,001, you fall into the open category. In the open to the world funnel only, or path only. This does not have anything to do with the fast track or the WCRA or any of that line of competition. The challenger, we're debuting in Las Vegas. And I say debuting, JD, I'll turn it over to you and maybe we can transition to the barrel racing and talk to Michelle. But we're going to have some pretty exciting news in the next couple of weeks about some independent producers and promoters who are interested in debuting the challenger level at some of their ropings before we even get to do it now in Las Vegas. So that's a pretty good indicator of what the industry is thinking.
Right. Yeah. And we're super excited about that. We understand that first mover, sometimes you're out in front and you'll end up with some arrows in your back. And we recognize that. And, we're just hopeful that our initial approach into the market with the challenger concept, there's been hundreds of hours put into this and really thinking it through. No doubt we've still messed it up in some areas, but we're willing to try. And I do, before we jump off of Breakaway, Casey Allen has a question here, and I'd like to lob it out there to you, Scott, and let you take a stab at it.
So the answer, so it's yes and no, but primarily yes, you can enter as a challenger in the open to the world. And the only way that can be disturbed is by advancing through the pipeline in the WCRA. You can only advance in one position in each discipline to the main event. So in Casey's question here, if she's got a spot in the breakaway in the WCRA path, she can still, and her money won classifies her as a challenger in the open to the world side. she can still enter twice over there and rope at the challenger level and advance to the progressive rounds with multiple positions in the open to the world pool and a position in the WCRA pool. Now, if she's successful there, she's really only running for the money because only one of those spots will advance and the WCRA path will take priority. But let's just say she set it on fire in the WCRA path and comes out of the Elite 18, headed to the main event in the number 1 position. She can still rope her calves in the progressive rounds with her 2 positions in the open, but she's roping for money. Does that make sense, everybody? She's just roping for money in those progressive rounds because if she wins those or places first and second, in turn advancing to the main event, she's already in the main event. So we would drop down in the open round progressive to pick up her spots and fill those holes, right? So you can rope for the money basically anywhere you want. And to her point too, and I'll put a bow on it, the WCRA path competes first. So she's going to know, you know what I mean, if she did really well in the WCRA path or missed an opportunity, she'll be able to make up for it potentially in the challenger divisions with multiple entries there.
Right.
Make sense?
And
Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
I think the only nuance there, and it might be the undertone, she did say thank you. Thanks, Casey, for submitting a question. Not to muddy the water here, but because the books were closed on this event, if she were to win, let's say $4,000 in the WCRA side, and that kicked her over her money earned, that would be 2020 money earned. So it wouldn't affect her 7,000 for 2019 or 12,000 combined for 2018 and 19. Correct?
Great point, and I might have missed that question entirely. Right?
No,
if you win any money, so we're doing it like team roping does it. It's my understanding, and I'm from the other end of the arena. But to the best of my knowledge, you rope at the level that you're classified when you enter. So. And this is just briefly, everybody's going to enter the event. Then the WCRA and Rodeo Logistics will work to understand who's eligible for challenge and open to the world for challenger competition. And they'll be notified that they're in the challenger pool. And at that point, they could ask questions from a customer service standpoint or dispute. Hopefully they won't. But nevertheless, so whatever you are when you enter is what you'll be in November at this competition. And then second to that, everyone will enter and then be classified. Doesn't make sense for us to attempt to classify thousands of people who may not enter the event.
Right. Cool. You want to jump into barrel racing? Is everybody doing good?
Larry D, you think we kind of covered it all from a breakaway standpoint?
I think so. I mean, if anybody has questions, I encourage them to ask because, the only thing that I ever hear from people is, that aren't already involved with the WCRA is like, I don't understand. Well, if you don't understand, ask questions. So I encourage people to ask questions if there's any kind of misunderstanding on anything.
Thanks for that.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, JD, shifting gears to barrel racing.
Absolutely. I'll pull that back up and we will get into it. And we will talk to Michelle about the barrel racing. I'm super excited to ask her about her thoughts about heading too.
Yeah. Hey, see, there's the breaking storyline today, right? I understand now that Michelle may be getting the rope out in advance of WRWC and maybe in the team roping. So she may be able to chip in multiple disciplines here with some opinions. So the barrel racing, as I mentioned earlier, because of our partnerships in the other disciplines, this is going to go a little bit more quickly. we have a relationship with Equistat. They've got mountains and mountains of data on barrel racing. And as you can see, JD, here, you pulled it up. The same thing. We're working off of earnings sort of formula. And the line will be drawn at $30,000 in the calendar year 2019. For 17, 18, and 19, a 3-year period, the line will be drawn at 90,000, or the 5-year period at 15 to 19, 150,000. Basically 30,000 a year, right? And these are either or, right? Like if you cross those thresholds, either or of these 3 categories of earnings, you will be considered open if you're above them. If you're below them, then you will be considered in the challenger pool. And there was more data in the barrel racing, so we went out further in the amount of time that we're going to consider earnings. And as I'm sure Michelle will probably say, barrel racing is so, very much oriented on your horse, and there's roller coasters with injuries. There's roller coasters with living, breathing animals, right, Michelle? So, good years and bad years can come at a moment's notice. So, but we feel like at those numbers, and I'd like you to share your thoughts, that we're pretty close, because if you're packing home 30 grand a year, you're at it. You're certainly out there attempting to go get it. And we consider that professional level or open competition, if you will. So just your knee-jerk thoughts about, what does this look like? I know we joked that you crossed the earnings threshold, but you've been really lucky in our platform. And I mean, you've performed really well. Really lucky isn't the right way to put it, but you've done very well. So your thoughts, knee-jerk.
I love this. I think the setup is different. I like that you're going with Equistat because they are kind of the #1 leading field in the barrel racing as far as keeping up with money. But to really level the playing field for the girls that don't say that go, all the time, they can step into that challenger pool and just work their way up. I think it levels the playing field. I think more people are going to be at it now. I've had a lot of girls ask me, what do you think about this? And I said, this is a great opportunity for you that works Monday through Friday, and you can go nominate, get in, or step into the challenger and then, get in. It's just, they need to do it. And everybody's starting to jump on board now. These girls are figuring it out, and we can go barrel race, rope, team rope at the same event. Why not? The money's there. Take advantage of it, especially for women.
That's awesome. Well, we absolutely appreciate. Looks like there's a comment there. I don't know if you can see that, Michelle, but it looks like you got some roping fans out there already.
I rope a little bit for my husband, and he's been begging me, to start roping again. But I'm so busy running barrels, I don't have time. But I'm definitely probably going to be out at Vegas swinging a head rope.
I like it. I mean, when we chuckled about it today when we were talking earlier, but I had no idea, and as I said, you've been participating in our platform and you've done media for us and stuff like that. Certainly a friend of our organization, for lack of better words, and it's kind of Well, you did media at Green Bay, right? And then you just stole the show. Basically, all you had to do was leave them standing in the short round, and you just blew it out of the park.
And even for the Sabre that tipped a barrel, she still won $25,000. Where else is that going to happen? I mean, nowhere. So
that's a great point. And and the way that relates to the Women's Rodeo World Championship is if you make the main event. So imagine yourself as that challenger header, and you make the main event. You're leaving there with a paycheck, even if you're out after the first 24 round, right? So, as you progress through these models, it's almost like you know, and Lari Dee has certainly participated in several of our semifinals and stuff, and so have you. Like, you know, when you go through the semifinals and you know you've made it to Green Bay, there's another paycheck coming, even if you have a terrible day and you're at the last hole at that main event. So much like our semifinals and major, the Women's World Championship will shape up like that. Every time you pass go, per se, you've got another opportunity to stuff some money in your pocket. And so that's a great point for challenger roper out there who's, I don't know if I can heal with those ladies that always take the money at the opens. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this is an opportunity, and if you catch 2 or 3, right, like you're going to get some paychecks, right? So, great point.
Absolutely.
Anything that you know, anything that we've missed, Michelle, from a barrel racing standpoint that, you know, today is really specifically about what is a challenger and what does that mean? We've already said, like, everyone's going to enter, and then Rodeo Logistics will validate against the Equistat data and notify you if you're challenger open. The entry fees are the same for all that. It's just when you show up to play, you know, in that challenger pool, it's a bunch of you together.
Yes. I think that the girls are starting to understand this now. I think you've covered about every point that they need to hear. I've had a lot of them come up and ask me, you know, how is this going to work? I feel like you haven't missed anything. I think they're going to jump on board now if they haven't already. This has just really leveled the playing field. I think this is absolutely amazing, and they'll catch on immediately.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you being here with us today. And Erica, you've been very patient. We're going to get into that team roping here in a second. JD, have you, you know, I'll ask you the same thing I asked Michelle. You know, is there anything we're forgetting, or you want to do a quick refresher here for those who've joined late?
Well, I mean, the thing that I think about is I think that it's going to be super cool to have some ladies who haven't roped since high school or college to dust off their rope and get back at it, who've been running barrels a long time. And it's also going to be super fun to see some of these gals who haven't run barrels since high school or college, and they might start making them a barrel horse. And so I think there's going to be some really interesting stories from ladies that have their eyes set on that $20,000 bonus, roping that we've never seen rope, and barrel racing who we haven't seen barrel race in a really, really long time. And I know for me, when I was in good roping shape and could actually win something with a rope, I tried to ride my wife's barrel horse, and it was the ugliest thing that you could have ever seen. And so I have no doubt that the ladies are going to do a way better job than I ever did. So
you weren't that guy on YouTube that I've seen.
I probably was.
No, I'm
I
kidding.
could ride one side of a barrel horse. No.
So you want to shift right into the team roping here, and I think we can be pretty efficient with it too. You know, it is really pretty simple in its own right, because Global Handicaps has done such a great job. We've recently established a relationship with them related to the team roping at the Women's World Championships. We'll utilize their system. The challenger pool in the team roping will consist of a 9.5, right? Capped at a 5. Does that, I mean, that's like Chinese to me. I can't believe I spit it all out. But so it's basically a 9.5 capped at a 5. So we'll get into this as we pull in Lari Dee and Erica momentarily, and how that sort of worked out at some other events, but that have already happened for the nominate when you're in, you know, but we'll try not to focus too much on that. But, you know, Erica, I'll throw it right over to you. You know, and I'll tell maybe the quick version of the story, participated and nominated at one of the very first eligible, nominate when you're in events, and you and your partner actually won the event. So about, that was maybe Saturday or Sunday, and then Wednesday we're doing a Facebook Live, and you hit us up with a few questions. I'm like, I know that name, and I'm digging over here off camera, like, she actually has a nominate when you're in position. So maybe just talk to us a little bit about, if your main focus is in the team roping space, what does this mean for women's team roping in general? Because it had kind of hit a little lull, I guess.
Yeah. Gosh, women's team roping has just gone. I mean, every roping you go to, you see women placing. The World Series has done a lot with the number system. I get a rope with my husband every weekend, every day. So that's a huge win for me itself. But going to the rope-ins, it's unreal now with all the women roping, and then you add this into it. I mean, when I heard the news that you guys are doing team roping with the WCRA, I was instantly texting every person I know that's helped me out growing up ever since I'm, now I'm getting close to an age I don't want to say, but it's changing everything. I mean, even my neighbor next door, she's constantly asked me questions about it, and she's super excited about it. She kind of heads or kind of heels. She's talking about healing again. She's getting back to heading even more. So, I mean, there's women out there coming from everywhere. So it's going to be something that's going to be pretty cool. And then you have the equal money. I mean, that alone is like enter the roping.
Right. Well,
So.
and you had, like I said, you were first gunner, if you will, to achieve a position in that fast track pool. And if I recall, was it in an incentive portion of the roping where you guys actually were competing, or was it in the open?
It was an incentive, and I actually
That's what I
roped with
thought.
somebody who I drew, which that was what we were kind of curious about. I couldn't remember if she nominated, and that's when I was asking, how does it work if I nominated and if she didn't nominate?
Right.
Because we talked about in the past, you don't have control if your partner that you draw isn't nominated.
Right.
So that was the main thing, was wondering how you guys were doing that, and it makes sense how you do it now. So
sure. Well, and I'll elaborate on that in a second, but like, I'm curious because we hadn't really had a chance to talk about that, but like, here we are, we announced earlier in the year about the partnership with PBR and doing the Women's World Championship, but the details were slowly but surely coming out. But you show up at this roping, did you know before you got there per se that it was a nominate when you're in? Or like, I guess what I'm asking is the way that you talked about as soon as you heard about team roping and you basically, just dove right in, right? And then had, executed well at that particular roping. But I guess just talk about that. Like, you heard team roping, you're like, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in.
Sign me up in the app, nominate.
I nominated at every roping, every Tuesday night jackpot I go to down the road. I mean, I nominate. I'm getting points. I nominated last weekend in the healing, and I won that roping, so I got points in the healing. So, I mean, I'm gonna keep going and going. There's no point going to roping and not nominating.
Right.
So if I'm gonna be there anyways, and I've been nominated multiple times just to get, just to be able, if I rope with that person, I win, then I get another spot. So it just kind of makes sense to do it.
No, it does. Well, and I want to touch on something you brought up with Lari Dee, and Lari Dee, I know I've already said it a handful of times, but we always appreciate your input. You always come to us constructively, whether it was at our first semifinals, how can we do this better? And, you've always answered the phone, and you've always tried to help us do that. What is it, the equal money thing really didn't hit me, maybe. And then Kendra Santos, who was on last week, did a great article for us where I was really surprised by some of the people that she talked to, and the fact that they had daughters, and there's been a real challenge with this equal money thing. I mean, I guess I always knew that, but I didn't really know it at that level. Whether it's, and I'm sure, I know that, Jake and Clay and, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it surprised me, right? That it was that hard for them. and then, you know, just have it at the women's equal money. Like, what does that really mean for those who didn't read that article?
Well, I mean, the equal money is something that people in rodeo, whether it was the barrel racers or team ropers or whatever, fought for so much. And you guys, you know, you put us breakaway ropers in there for equal money right away. And so, you know, when you come with the team roping and we heard that you're going to go ahead and give us the equal money heading and heeling, like that's just, that's awesome, because that's something that we fought for, you know, as rodeo competitors, and still fight for, you know, to get the equal money all the time.
Well, and I have to admit that the focus group was a big part of that. And I think you were probably on that call. It was a topic of discussion. I had to be the bad guy and bring it up, right? But, you know, truth be known, I don't even understand now, knowing what we know now. And then, you know, reading that article and you saying those things like I don't really even get why it was ever an argument, or even from a producer and a promoter standpoint. Now that I see the athlete side of that, like, you know, I mean, I can see why a producer or promoter would argue against it, but, you know, to me now, knowing what I know, it has zero merit, you know, like, I mean, so, you know, but I had to throw that in there. I thought you were going to say that, give you a little black eye, but I had to confess that we brought it up to the focus group. The focus group threw a bunch of bricks at us. We broke all, no,
right away.
Right. But no, you know what I mean? You guys were like, wait a minute. And then, and we had time to reconsider and talk to PBR and just really build some energy behind it. So that's a result of people like you and everybody that was on that focus group weighing in. And then I think to hear Erica's version of it, sort of from outside looking in, not having been a part of that, you know, there's just good things associated with that. And I'm glad that I never even got the chance to bring up a reason why it shouldn't be equal money, because it would be embarrassing right now. And that's just the way that I feel about it now. But so we're obviously pretty excited about that. I thought it was really cool that some of those legends in my mind weighed in that article, and they have daughters, and those gals are old enough to where they're going to be running at some of this money. And I've got a 3-year-old baby girl, you know, so you never know what happens, but it's just kind of cool to be a part of it. So let's talk just really quickly, because this came up the other day, about nominate and when you're in paths, right? Sammy Joe shared some information with me ahead, just to, you know, talk about how you can get there in the fast track, because it's relative to team roping. But just really quickly, in the barrel racing, there are 11 spots left in the fast track, and the next event that everybody needs to be paying attention to for a nominate and when you're in is Nampa, Idaho race on July 11th, the IBF sponsor appreciation race. In the breakaway roping, we got 2 coming up. Cody Ull's Open Breakaway, July 12th, and then the Bex's Best Breakaway, July 18th in Torrington, Wyoming. Cody's deals in San Antonio. And then in the team roping, we have an offset number, but 10 heading spots and 9 heeling spots left in the fast track. And the next 2 spots that are available in the fast track are at the Daddy team roping on July 20th, which I believe is in Wyoming, as it relates to prior to the cancellation of the Daddy. But anyway, so Erica, you're in the fast track, right? You're nominating, you're getting points. If you don't get anything done there, you've got your WCRA path. Then you have opportunities in the Open to the World segment. But let's just talk briefly about the nominate and when you're in. You guys, as you said, you were at a draw partner roping, and both of you had nominated. There's a little magic to that. So boom, you're both in. We get a header and a healer. And this was in the incentive roping. And I don't want to camp out on this, but I just want to air it out because it came up with us the other day.
Yeah.
At that particular roping, I believe that there were nominate when you're in positions available in the open and in the incentive roping, right?
Yes.
So when it comes to team roping, here's how it works. At that daddy roping on July 20th, that's the next nominate when you're in. There's an open and there's an incentive. So we'll take the BFI thing into consideration that we discussed, and then we'll also talk briefly about that one upcoming. There's positions available in both ropings, for a lack of better words. What's required is that at least one of the winning teams in either or both divisions has nominated. And what will happen if you were at that roping, Erica, and you nominated, but your partner didn't, and you won the incentive, then you have another fast track position. What has to happen on the other side is that we've got to have a nominator place in a paid position in order to complete that team. So it's not, we don't drop down just to the next person that nominated, that because it might have been just one and they had a no time, right? They have to complete the course and achieve a paid position. So at the BFI, there was some conversation about, you know, Hope Thompson won the incentive and won the open, but she had only nominated one time. So the nomination follows her best finish. The healer in the incentive had not nominated. Therefore, nobody won the positions that accompanied the incentive roping at the nominate when you're in during the BFI. Like, does that explanation make sense to everybody?
Can I add something?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hope Thompson is a 5 elite, and so she won the incentive. Okay. So say that she didn't win the main average. She won the incentive and nominated, but she can't rope in the incentive in the number 9 roping because it's capped at a 5. Would she get into the open segment of it or not?
So think of it this way, and I think I can answer your question, LD. Like, the fast track is, even though Erica and her partner won an incentive roping, so everybody in the fast track just competes in the fast track, no matter what your number is, no matter which level of roping that you won, right? So in that instance, though, had Hope nominated twice, she would just get 2 positions in the fast track. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Now, to your point, with Hope being a 5 elite, she will not be eligible for the challenger because it's capped at 5, right? So even though it's a 9.5 rope and it's capped at 5, so she wouldn't be able to be graded heading, I presume. If she's a 5 elite header, then she wouldn't be able to compete in the challenger in the heading. But if she's a 4.5 healer, I'm making that up, she could enter the challenger in the healing discipline up to 2 times. So does that kind of explain it, Larry D? Like the fast track, if you get one of those 16 spots, you're in. Doesn't matter if you won an 8 roping or if you won the open. You're just going to, everybody's in the fast track. You get to rope 2 and the top 4 teams are going on. And then everybody else just falls back into the WCRA, which is, again, like an open competition. Doesn't matter what their number is. They fight it out there. And if they have entries in the open to the world category, then their classifications count there, and their the 9.5 is what makes them a challenger team at that level.
Thanks for asking that, Larry D. And just wanted to remind everybody, if you're wanting to know about upcoming nominate when you're in events, Sammy Joe was kind enough to throw this into the chat on Facebook. And you can go to womensrodeoworldchampionship.com, and you can also go to wcrarodeo.com and go to the events tab. But You can search there for the Nominate When You're In events, and there's a lot of them coming up, and it's a super slick way to make it to the main event. Basically 25%. If we fill it up with 16 athletes in the fast track path, we're going to take 25% of them, or 4, straight into the main event. So if you don't get in, you go right back into the leaderboard pool on the WCRA. So it's a great opportunity. And you know, if you do win fast track Nominate When You're In spot, you're going to have points as well, and pretty high probability you're going to be on the leaderboard as well. So
absolutely.
It's just a great benefit. What haven't we covered? Like what else? Because we're at the top of the hour. This has been super informative, and it seems like every time I hear it or go through it again that I learn something. Is there anything that we need to talk about? Lari Dee, Erica, Michelle had to jump, but Scott, is there anything else that we need to discuss?
You know, I can't think of it. I mean, we tried to camp out on the Challenger. There's so many benefits to this event and so many paths that it's hard to stay hooked. But, you know, we're going to be pounding home over the course of the next couple of weeks. What is a Challenger? You know, how do you understand? You can email support@wcrarodeo.com. You know, if you're planning on entering the event, you'll be classified either way. It doesn't matter what. And you know how much money, I mean, I'm saying you, but, you know, as a female rodeo athlete, you know where you fall in those earnings levels. You know if you've won that much or more than that. And I would suggest enter accordingly. You'll be classified. Our service department will handle any issues. But we just hope that it increases participation. I'm so hopeful that we're able to just have a huge world-class event, and we have the opportunity for our brand to touch women athletes out in Las Vegas in November. It's that simple for me. I just want to put on a great rodeo. I want to see great competition, and I want as many people as can load their horses up with this stuff going on that we're dealing with right now, that we can go have a world-class event. And I'm just pumped to watch it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready for it to be November.
Yeah, me too. And I encourage all the girls to, you know, get involved with this. I mean, you guys have helped us so much, and I encourage all the girls to try to get, you know, their understanding of it and get entered.
Well, we appreciate it, and we appreciate the time. JD, I'm going to hand it back to you, and we can, I don't know if there's been any more questions, but these ladies have sure been a big help, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time, ladies. Thanks, Michelle. If y'all see her, give her a high five. And don't hesitate to share this when we get done. Share it with your friends. If they have any questions, you know, they can put it on 2x speed or 1.5 or whatever. And again, November 3rd through the 7th, our $750,000 co-produced with the PBR event at South Point in Las Vegas during the PBR World Finals. $750,000 payout guaranteed, $60,000 first place. I did want to share one graphic. I don't think I've gotten to share it yet. It shows the payout a little bit deep. Let me share it really, really quick. This is what really gets everybody's blood going. Used to me anyhow. Oh Lordy, where is it? $60,000 first place, and here we go.
$20,000 all around.
$20,000 all around. Look at that. 60, 20, 12, 5, 10, 7,500, 5,000. And that's in the main event, the last 6 athletes. So there's a lot of money, 137,000 split
in the main event.
In the main event, split across the 4 disciplines. And so we appreciate y'all. Let us know if you have any questions. Our phone number's right there. Email support@wcrarodeo.com, and we'll be seeing you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.